Hello there and welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're doing a shootout between two of the best affordable Telecaster style guitars. This one's by Harley Benton and this one's by Slick Guitars, and as you can see they're Telecasters with a twist. This one looks very traditional, but this one is much more of a very idiosyncratic Cabronita style affair. But if you know me, if you know my channel, well, you'll know that I'm always on the lookout for the best affordable guitar bass gear, and these I think are two of the best T-style guitars for under $300. What I'm going to do in this video then is compare and contrast them for you. I'll tell you about the specs and the features. I'll play them in as many different musical styles as I possibly can, and I'll give you my thoughts and my opinions about these two guitars because I've played them both quite a lot in my time. So we'll start with the specs and features, and first let me tell you about this. It's the Harley Benton TE-62CC in Lake Placid Blue. So this is the Harley Benton TE-62CC, this time in a beautiful shade of Lake Placid Blue, although other colours are of course available, and this is part of the brand's deluxe series of guitars. This will set you back €150, so it's very much an affordable taste of the world of the Telecaster, and it's a very traditional looking one too, especially on first glance. Now underneath this Lake Placid Blue finish we have a basswood body and a very standard traditional looking Telecaster sort of body layout. We've got a lovely vintage looking mint green scratch plate here, two Roswell Alnico 5 single coil traditional Tele style pickups, a vintage style 3-saddle ashtray bridge, no name so it's going to be Harley Benton's own stuff, and we've got your traditional 3-way selector switch, a volume control and a tone control too. If I move us across to the back, nice slab body, no body contouring or anything like that, no tummy cuts. This is a Tele, and you've got that decent upper fret access as well, if that's your thing. And if I move us up, you can see we've got a really nice caramelized maple fingerboard and neck as well, with a really nice satin finish. Now the neck on this guitar is a bit more modern feeling than the body because it's a slimmish D sort of a shape, very comfy indeed, and like I said, lovely and satin, so very smooth indeed. We've got 21 frets on this guitar. Harley Benton don't tell us what size the frets are, but I think they've got to be medium jumbo. We've got a standard Fender 648mm scale length here and a 42mm nut, and the fingerboard radius is 305mm, so about 12 inches, so nice modern and flat feeling as well. So traditional Tele body with a slightly modern feeling Tele sort of a neck, and we've got that Harley Benton 6-in-line headstock there as well with Harley Benton or no name tuners. So this is the Harley Benton TE-62CC, and next let's look at the Slick SL55. So the Slick SL55 is clearly a very different beast to the Harley Benton. We've got that familiar Telecaster shape, but pretty much everything else is different. Now, the Slick SL55 will set you back about $270 in North America, and in Europe, this specific model is about €430, so much more expensive, but still in the realm of the affordable guitar. So what do you get for your money with the SL55? Well, you get this beautiful sand-blasted ash body. It's solid swamp ash, according to the makers of the guitar. And by the way, Slick guitars are named for their designer, Earl Slick, former guitarist with the likes of David Bowie and others. Now you also get Filtertron style pickups in this guitar. They're Guitar Fetish's GF-Tron Hard Vintage set, so they're going to sound very different, we can assume, to your standard traditional Telecaster single coil pickups. We've got just a volume control on this, no tone control, and a 3-way selector switch too. You'll also notice that we've got a lot of brass hardware here, the knob here, the switch, the bridge, and also the tuners up at the headstock. Well, these are all brass, so very cool, very different. I really like the DNA of these Slick guitars. Again, let's just take a look at this beautiful swamp ash body, and it's got a lovely feel to it. You can feel all of the grain, all of the contours as well. This is a very raw feeling guitar all round. It feels like there's basically no finish on it whatsoever, and I think that that feels really organic. It feels really great indeed. You've got a thick poly finish on the Harley Benton, and that's a massive contrast to the Slick guitar. Now moving up to the neck, and things stay deliciously different. We've got a Canadian hard rock maple neck here with a lovely, basically raw finish again, so lovely smooth satin, slick to get up and down. You can see why they did that, I suppose. And we've got a black walnut fingerboard. 22 medium jumbo frets on this guitar, but we've got Gibson scale length here, so 24 3/4 inches as opposed to the 25.5 inches on a standard Fender Tele or on the Harley Benton. We've got a 42mm hand slotted nut here, a 12-inch fingerboard radius, so nice and flat just like the Harley Benton, and looking up at that Slick headstock there, painted in black, pretty darn cool, and again these brass tuners as well. So everything about the SL55 is quite different, and it costs about twice as much as the Harley Benton, but is it going to be worth that money? And should you go for this Cabronita style experience over the more traditional look, feel and sounds of the Harley Benton? Well, that's what we're going to find out next, because I'm going to give you as many different musical samples as I possibly can. My rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head. We'll start on the amps clean channel and we'll progressively add more and more gain until we're in down-tuned metal territory. So we'll hear how versatile both of these guitars truly are, and we'll see which one sounds best for your ears. Everything is going to be time-stamped down there, so look for the genres that might appeal most to you, and afterwards I'll give you some more in-depth opinions about both of the guitars, so don't go anywhere. Okay then, so that was the Harley Benton TE-62CC up against the slick SL55, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. What I'd like you to do now is leave me a comment down there telling me which of the two guitars you preferred and why. Did you prefer the more traditional Tele stylings of the Harley Benton, or were you more of a fan of the Filtertron style pickups in the slick? Let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to getting a bit of a discussion going in the comments as usual. But what I'd like to do now is tell you my opinions about these two guitars. I've played both of them a lot since I've had them, and that's almost 4 years with the Harley Benton, so I've really got a lot to say about that guitar. But what I'd also like to do now is sort of take you through that mental process, that thought process when you're considering buying a new guitar, because there's many things that I think about, and probably you're the same, so perhaps I can help you in that regard. Now we'll start with the first thing that I think you'd look at, and that would be the looks of the guitar. These two guitars couldn't really look more different considering their Tele types. You've got the traditional Lake Placid Blue look of the Harley Benton. It's not quite as vivid as a Fender Lake Placid Blue, but it still looks really cool, and that goes really well with the caramelized maple neck as well. But the slick is just something totally different with this black sandblasted ash look and the black walnut fingerboard as well. It's a totally different aesthetic and style. Now most days I'd probably pick the traditionalness of the Lake Placid Blue Tele, but if I'm feeling particularly adventurous, well, I'd go for the slick in the looks department in that case. Now the next thing that I think you'd look at would be the price of these two guitars, and there can only be one winner here. The Harley Benton will set you back 150 euros. That's super affordable. I don't think anyone else can match the Harley Benton in that department. And indeed the slick, even in North America, is $270, which is incredibly affordable as well, but it's still $100 more than the Harley Benton. And over here in Europe, these guitars are considerably more expensive than the Harley Benton, about twice the price, in fact. So the Harley Benton wins in the price stakes as well. The next things that I would look at at would be, well, the build quality of the guitars. How do they feel and how do they play? Now in the build quality stakes, the Harley Benton's great, especially for the money. Like I said, I've had that one for nearly 4 years and it's not had any issues at all in that time. So it's been totally stable, totally solid, and all of the cheap hardware on it has done its job really well indeed. Now with a T-style guitar, you can rely on them to be pretty stable and to just work day after day, gig after gig, and so on. But this one's really been great and I've never had any issues. It came set up really nicely out of the box as well, so no problems there whatsoever. In terms of build quality with the Slick, I do feel that this might be slightly higher quality overall. It feels like a more sort of substantial guitar when you pick it up, and I really like the unique brass fixtures and fittings and hardware that we've got on this guitar as well. I go into a bit more detail about that in the dedicated video that I've done of this guitar, if you'd like to watch that one as well. But anyway, in terms of build quality, the Slick feels really great too. It has a certain rawness to it because you basically feel like there's no finish on any of the guitar, and you might love that or you might not, and in that case, well, it's your own personal choice. But overall, in terms of build quality, so far I think I'm going to edge it to the Slick. Now in terms of playing feel and the playability of the two guitars, they also feel significantly different as well. Now you've got a satin neck on both of them and they both feel very comfy indeed. You've got the Gibson scale length on the Slick and the Fender scale length on the Harley Benton. Now I love the caramelized maple neck on the Harley Benton and I love the hard rock maple neck on the Slick. The Slick has a slightly more substantial profile to it. There's a bit more neck in the hand, especially as you go up towards the dusty end of the fingerboard, but I just love that smoothness of the Harley Benton, and that one feels like home to me. So in the playability stakes and the neck, I'm going to give that to the Harley Benton. When it comes to the body though, I prefer the Slick. I love the smoothness and the kind of 3D contours that you can feel on this sandblasted swamp ash body. It feels fantastic and really, really comfortable as well, and I'd give it to the Slick in that regard. Overall for playability though, I also would like to take the weights of the two guitars into consideration, and these being affordable guitars, you might expect them to be fairly heavy. Well, they're not too bad. This specific Harley Benton weighs 3.4 kilograms, that's about 7 pounds 7 and a bit, so really not too heavy, and the Slick is a bit weightier. This specific one is 3.62 kilograms, which is 7.15 and a bit, which is just a tad under 8 pounds. Again, under 8 pounds is kind of my limit. That's really not too bad. I'd prefer it if both of the guitars were half a pound or even a pound lighter, but I realise that in this modern day and age, heavier woods go into more affordable guitars, so it's not too much of a complaint. But overall in the playability stakes, considering the bodies, considering the necks and the weights, well, it's a dead heat for me. If I could put the Harley Benton neck onto this Slick body, I think we'd be talking. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is the other crucial thing, and that's the sound of the two guitars. And there they also couldn't be more different in some contexts. Now the Harley Benton is very much a traditional Telecaster. You've got these Roswell Alnico 5 single coil pickups that do that bright, chimey, aggressive top end, beautiful twangy tones that you would expect from a Telecaster. It's consequently a thinner sounding guitar than the Slick as well, and once you get up to playing really heavy stuff, well, it starts to feel a bit like it's sort of away from its home base. Now the Filtertron style pickups in the Slick SL55 are constantly surprising me with how versatile they are, but also with how good they sound. They don't give you that outright aggressive twang of a Tele, but they get pretty close and they give you amazing vintage clean sounds as well. Now one thing I do have to say is that this guitar actually has lower output pickups than the Harley Benton, and I had to raise the levels just to match the two in the playing parts of this video. But the Slick sounds fantastic for so many things if you're not expecting a traditional Tele. These Filtertrons are fantastic for classic rock, they're fantastic for my beloved Indian alternative genres as well, and for heavy rock and for even metal they sound really decent as well. I never thought that I'd be playing a Filtertron pickup for metal style stuff, but that really works as well. So which of these guitars sounds better then? Well, of course that's 100% subjective and we're all going to have our personal opinions on that, and I'd like to hear yours in the comments please. But I would just say this, if you're after traditional Tele tones, well, the Harley Benton is the one to go for out of these two. But if you'd like to think outside the box a bit and try something a bit different, if you've maybe already got a Tele, well, you can't go wrong with these Slick Filtertrons. Now of course there's plenty of competition out there, including from both of these brands. You can get numerous different Slick Telecaster style guitars, including with standard traditional Tele style pickups, and you can get many other Harley Benton T-style guitars, including some blasted ash style ones as well. So take a look around on the Thomann website for those, take a look at your local Slick dealer for what else they have, and you'll definitely find something that is going to work for you. All of those guitars are going to be in the sub 300 or 400 euro price bracket, so in terms of affordability, definitely worth checking out. Now, if you want to go for the rest of the competition, of course, well, it's going to be Squier by Fender any day of the week. Now, Squier Classic Vibe is their flagship range. That's going to be more expensive than the Slick or than the Harley Benton, of course, but there are many great options in that range too. And if you want Squiers that are similarly priced to the Slick and the Harley Benton, well, you can go down to their Affinity range or even to their Bullet or Sonic ranges as well, which are even cheaper. And I have a video about the Squier Sonic Telecaster, which is similarly priced to the Harley Benton. It is a fantastic instrument in its own right too. And just as a side note, if you're after another great affordable guitar with Filtertron style pickups, try something in the Gretsch Electromatic series. Those are pretty great guitars, and I'd like to feature a few more of those on the channel in the future as well. But anyway, in conclusion, I think that both of the two guitars we featured today would be great additions to any collection which is missing a sub $300 or Euro T-style instrument. If you're someone who's dipping your toes into the tonal waters of the Telecaster for the first time, well, try the authentic single coil nature of the Harley Benton first. That's really going to give you an authentic Telecaster style experience with all of the top end aggression and the thin, nasally biting sounds that come with it, which I absolutely love, but some people don't so much. And if you're someone who maybe already has a Tele, or you don't like that thinness and you want a bit more fatness and maybe a bit more vintage thickness in your tone, well, the Filtertrons in the Slick SL55 are going to be a great option. If you were to ask me which of these two I would buy, well, I would say again, because I have another Tele in my collection, I don't have another Filtertron equipped guitar in my collection, I'd pick the Slick. But if I didn't have another Tele, well, I think every guitarist needs one, and I'd be going for the TE-62CC. That said, I could get both of these guitars for under 500 euros, and for me, I think they're definitely worth it in that regard, and I'd have both of them if I could. But I hope this video has answered all of the questions that you might have had about these two guitars. As I said, there are detailed, dedicated videos of both elsewhere on my channel if you'd like to go into more detail. And if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there in the comments and I shall do my best to answer as always. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.